Karina, all yours.
Thanks, John. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm truly honored to be here today to share our experience, and I'm extremely grateful to have this opportunity to express our heartfelt appreciation to all those who've helped us. Over the past 6 months, I've learned that it's how people interact and work together during and after a crisis that define the character of a place and shapes its identity. As Denny noted, it has been a roller coaster of emotions and a time that has tested our resolve. But the fact remains that local people came together with people from far away to accomplish remarkable things in a very short time. To give you some context of the magnitude of our loss, it's one thing to say you've lost a third of your community, but imagine 30% of our education staff, 50% of our council, 85% of our doctors, 40% of our RCMP staff and personnel, and over 20% of our firefighters all lost their homes to the blaze. Every sector of our community was impacted. As well, we lost our new government center, which included provincial offices, the library, and our municipal office. Town staff had lost all their files and records, their routines were disrupted, and they are working 6 to a classroom like in a call center. Even those in the community that didn't lose their homes had a profound sense of shock, loss, and even guilt. But it could have been worse. Our schools, hospital, industrial area, banks, restaurants are all still standing. And I'm not sure we would have made it if we lost the Tim Hortons. But what helped boost residents' spirits the most was the truly remarkable generosity of Albertans and Canadians. Truckloads and truckloads of donated items arrived, which soon exceeded our capacity. As well, monetary donations poured in. The Canadian Red Cross has received close to $5 million to date. The community-led fire relief fund managed by locals Harry and Heather Bartlett is nearing the $750,000 mark. And we appointed a community committee to determine how best to use these funds for the region. Alberta municipalities provided over 50 key personnel to help us get back on our feet and to allow our staff to take some time off. And I know many of the municipalities are here today, and I just wanted to say thank you. Premier Stelmach's unwavering support was truly inspiring due to his incredible sense of humanity, compassion, and doing the right thing when Albertans needed it most. We knew we were never alone. As Denny noted, Minister Hector Grudo was the amazing cabinet lead, and a task force of assistant deputy ministers under the inspiring leadership of Tim Grant was assigned to our region. Tim worked with our CAOs on a daily basis and also with our 3 councils to develop a recovery plan to ensure that our region would not be economically, environmentally, and socially disadvantaged after a crisis. I know he's going to talk about that today, but I'm sure he won't tell you that we loved him so much that we named him honorary mayor and reeve for the town and MD before he passed the torch to ADM with Municipal Affairs, Michael Merritt, who is, I think, here today. Premier Redford, Municipal Affairs Minister Doug Griffiths, and Health and Wellness Minister Fred Horn moved quickly in the transition period to come visit us and confirm the province's continued commitment to backstop Mike's effort, and I'm sure he was relieved as we were. Denny has told you about the 2 weeks in May that changed our lives. I want to talk about the past 6 months as we embarked upon our long-term recovery. The first challenge was to address the more than 2,000 town and area residents that were left houseless. The town and MD staff, Red Cross, and a hastily assembled housing group worked endlessly to locate and register people. We had to build a database to understand the scope of the task, and the numbers kept moving all summer and throughout the fall. With the extent of the damage and the approach of winter, most residents needed temporary housing to live in while their homes were being rebuilt. Housing hundreds of families and individuals was paramount, and together with Alberta Infrastructure and Alberta Housing, we undertook a massive interim housing project. In June, we made the bold commitment to get housing in place for September. There were a few who thought this was too slow, but most people told us we were crazy. The task was too big, the timetable too short, the dream too big. They were right, but this is Slave Lake. Development to 3 new subdivisions of approximately 55 acres was, by normal estimates, a 12 to 18-month project. We said 70 days, and it just took us until last week until the last trailer arrived in place. While interim housing was a priority, we also focused on the demolition and cleanup of the sites. This was coordinated by a consortium by the insurance companies, which was the first in Canada, and the cleanup was done early. And today, between the 2 municipalities, we have about 200 housing starts underway. Bricks and mortar are tangible elements in any recovery, but the difficult healing process that follows any major disaster is a challenge we didn't think about much before the fire, and even less during the state of local emergency. The challenges of rebuilding from the ashes and the social and psychological impacts continue to this day. We've learned that if you don't set a plan for dealing with psychological needs early, you risk an echo emergency months later. For example, we noticed an increase in domestic violence, calls into victim services have doubled, and we are very sensitive to ensure that the children and youth in our community are receiving the support. As well, a disaster attracts all kinds of people who will take advantage of your citizens. It's important to encourage citizens to be vigilant about checking the credibility of who they hire. We also had pro bono lawyers come to our community and offer free services so our community was aware of the risks in an insurance claim and hiring contractors. At a recent meeting with our new premier, one of our local councillors explained that we're living in a bipolar community. One day people are delighted with our accomplishments, and the next they're depressed that we are faced with so many challenges. It's taking time to get things done, and our capacity is stretched so thin. We were not prepared for this job. We never applied for it, and we would never, ever have got this far without the huge amount of help we received. But the people I work with every day are still doing a lot more than the job they did on May 13th. They're tired, but we've learned a lot about what people can do when they have to. And again, I'm so proud of our staff and council. But we are seriously under capacity to deal with recovery issues. A huge issue is the social impact of the disaster. Along with the water, gas, electricity, and equipment, our people needed counseling. Our first responders, municipal staff, and returnees. Our leadership and staff were unprepared in dealing with angry and traumatized people. From day one in the recovery, you have to set targets and prepare to celebrate small victories, even if that's just a bevy at BP's after 11 after a council meeting. You have to plan for spontaneous events, and you have to offer hope every day. As Christmas approaches, we know we're in for another emotional ride. It's going to be a tough time. Communication is crucial. Over the past 6 months, we've exposed our citizens to a lot of new information when all they really wanted to hear was everything will be back to how it was. But that's not true. We have a new normal in Slave Lake, and it sure doesn't feel normal. So we're using every communications channel we can, and the video and website Denny launched today is one of those elements. We discovered that things must be said, confirmed, and said again before it sinks in. We found you have to give people opportunities to question, rant, and vent, but you also need to know when to say enough and have the courage to say it. But the character of our town is not built on the here and now. Even though the fire destroyed our community, it never defeated our spirit or our courage to move forward. So now that the immediate issues of the fire are addressed, full recovery will require a long-term vision, strong leadership, patience, and cooperation. We created a tri-council partnership that was truly forged in fire and continues to be augmented by experts from the provincial government. Just this past weekend was a milestone and an important time of reflection for me. We restored tradition by holding our annual Light Up Slave Lake Christmas event. Dozens of holiday-themed floats paraded down Main Street as hundreds of residents lined the streets to wave and cheer. I also saw hundreds of children at our annual Christmas craft sale who got to sit on Santa's knee and tell him what their Christmas wishes were this year. It was a special celebration that gave us comfort for this holiday season. We recognize that we've only completed the first few stages of what will be a very long recovery for our people. But I have no doubt that we'll arrive at our destination thanks to the unbelievable support we continue to receive. Before I finish here, I'd just like to say a few comments about working with Denny. During the emergency, there's something that drove me nuts. He wore this yellow t-shirt for 4 days straight. And I couldn't figure out why he'd wear the same t-shirt for that many days. But what he was doing is he was turning it inside out one day and then turning it front to back the next day. And he would be very cautious when he was eating, but just drove me nuts. But I will admit that I often leaned on Denny many times to get through this, and he often lifted my spirits, and I'll always be grateful for his strength and friendship. Thank you.